One of the hardest things to do in life is to tell someone they're wrong and to get them to change. In our gospel today, Jesus says to be respectful to others when you're doing this, to get advice from others, and then recognize that you may not be able to get others to change. It's hard to do, but you have to try. Some years ago, I was on a train. It was a long ride, and I hoped to pass the time napping or reading a book, but two women got on and sat a few seats ahead of me. One of them must have been hard of hearing. She talked so loudly that everyone around us could hear her. They talked about food and clothes and their health and different medicines they were taking. But then one woman brought up her husband. She had trouble with him. After the kids got married, he started to drink and he got nasty when he drank. And it got so bad, she said, that she told him to get out of the house and get straightened out. She wasn't going to leave the house. He had to get out. Well, he got mad, she said, and he went to live with his brother for a while. But in a couple of months he was back. He told her she was right. He stopped drinking. It was a hard thing to be so strong with him, she said. She loved him very much, but she remembered the story in the Bible where the father threw his son out of the house, and after a while he came back. And the other woman said that she knew that story too, and wondered where it was in the Bible. Well, I was ready to chime in and tell them that the story's in St. Luke's Gospel, chapter 15, and actually the father didn't throw the son out of the house. He left on his own. But something told me to keep my mouth shut. And just then, another woman, a few seats away, turned to the women and said, "You must be angels sent by God. I've been praying for months, trying to figure out what to do with my son, and I think you've just given me the answer." Her son was on drugs, she said. He's a good kid, but he's in the wrong crowd. And she knew that he was having a bad influence on his younger brothers and sisters, so she felt she had to get him out of the house. Her husband wasn't any help. He wanted to leave the problem alone. She talked to her minister in the church, and he told her she was being too easy on her son, but she wasn't convinced. But now, listening to these women, she felt God was telling her something. She had to be like that father in the gospel story that threw his son out of the house. He was going to look up that story in the Bible. Again, I was going to tell them that the story was in St. Luke's Gospel and the father doesn't really throw the son out of the house, but I thought better of it. Maybe the version they had in their minds was the version that God meant them to hear. By the time the women got off the train, they were all in agreement and they were new friends. They'd exchanged phone numbers and emails and promises to keep in touch. And they were thanking God for this time on the train as a time of special grace. Sometimes we think the scriptures are about a world long gone, but read the Gospels carefully. They're not only about a world long gone, they're also about these three women and all of us who sometimes have to face hard things to say and to do and don't know how to do it. But God gives us the answer.